Fears around AI have caused some recent movements in the stock market that I think are illogical. For example, the announcement by Anthropic of Claude code security has caused downturns in cybersecurity stocks such as Cloudflare or CrowdStrike or Okta. However, none of those are anywhere in any way related to the problem that Claude Code Security would solve. So Claude Code Security, it is basically a SAST tool, a static application security testing tool. Um, and it does that better than some existing tools such as Sneak and others, um, because it's not working on hard coded rules. It's able to understand the semantics of the application code better. However, in those examples, CrowdStrike is an endpoint detection and response tool. So that's like if you click on an email and you get a virus on your computer. That's completely irrelevant to application security because there wasn't a vulnerability in your email client that made you click on the bad link. Another one would be Cloudflare. So that is around distributed denial of service attacks, right? So it mitigates those. However, even a perfectly secure application, it's going to be potentially vulnerable to, it is going to be vulnerable to DDoS attacks because that's just an issue of scaling. So it just consumes the amount of resources that your computer has been provisioned to run to handle those requests. It's not an application vulnerability. Everything is going to be inherently vulnerable to DDoS attacks. So it's more of an infrastructure level issue, which is not going to be solved by Claude Code Security. And then the third example was Okta. So Okta is an identity provider, which a secure application, you're going to need an identity provider. So that's also not anything related to a vulnerability in the code. That's more of just a software as a service that's related to cybersecurity, but it's in no way relevant to Claude Code Security. And then also more broadly around the software as a service, the SaaS apocalypse. Um, in many cases, so basically, if there is an open source alternative to whatever the SaaS is, then it doesn't make sense for AI generated code to suddenly have a negative impact on the stock. So, such as Slack, right? So, if the market price of Slack is going down because, well, maybe an LLM can generate, a chat application. That makes no sense because there's already an open source alternative to Slack. You can just run Rocket Chat. So the basically the reason why AI would potentially have a negative impact on a SaaS product would be if either there's no open source implementation of some similar solution, or because the AI is able to operate and to maintain that software, which that's not currently the case. And it might never be the case, right? Even if LLMs are perfect at generating code, they're not necessarily going to be perfect at responding to new bug reports that come in, and increasing the capacity of servers, stuff like that. So yeah, I think the stock market is not being very logical when it's punishing specifically cybersecurity or SaaS companies. And then also, I think the stock market is looking for a reason to sell, though. I think people are afraid, and they're trying to sell off their stocks, and they're looking for any reason to do that, even if it doesn't make logical sense. And part of that, it would make sense for that because of AI, because you have all of these AI tech leaders saying that all white collar workers are going to be out of a job in a year. So why would you buy a new car if you're going to not have a job in a year? So I think they're probably going to crash the economy with all of the AI fear mongering, because consumer confidence is going to drop like a rock.